Welcome to lesson 7.7 on Pascal's triangle and binomial expansion. Now before I start with what I'm going to do, I need you to stop right now, go to the description, watch the video in the description, go to the website, take a look at it that's in the description, and once you've done that, come back here. But go do that right now. Okay, now that you're back and you've learned about how we create Pascal's triangle, we're going to build our first Pascal's triangle. Row 1 always starts with 1. And then our first row, sorry, that was row 0. Row 1 also has 1s in it. Now row 2 is where we have to think a little bit. Starts with a 1. Now we add the 2 numbers above it. We get a 2, ends with a 1. Row 3 starts with a 1. Add the 2 numbers above it. Get a 3. Add these 2. Get another 3, ends with a 1. Row 4 starts with a 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 and 1 is 4, ends with a 1. So starts with a 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 4 plus 6 is 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. 4 plus 1 is 5, ends with a 1. Row 6 starts with a 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. 5 plus 10 is 15. 10 plus 10 is 20. 10 plus 5 is 15. 5 plus 1 is 6, and ends with the 1. And we could keep going, but we're going to stop there because I happen to know that's as far as we need for the examples. Example 1 says expand x plus y to the 6. So that's a binomial. Going to be expanded 6 times using Pascal's triangle. That 6 tells us that we're going to use the 6th row or row 6 when we do our calculation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy out that 6th row. So it's 1, 6, 15, 20, 15, 6, 1. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that first term, which is an x, and I'm going to write it to the power of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I finish with it at a 0. That's not a 6, that's a 0. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but backwards with our second term. So the second term is y. I'm going to start at the far end, and that's going to be y to the 6. Y to the 5, y to the 4, y to the 3, y to the 2, y to the 1, y to the 0. And we do all of this because if we multiply downwards with our rows, we can learn that x plus y to the 6 is going to be the sum of each one of these is going to be a term. So if I multiply all 3 of these together, I'm going to get, because y to the 0 is just 1, I'm going to get 1x to the 6 plus, here, my coefficient will be a 6, and then it's going to be x to the 5, y to the 1, plus, if I go down here, 15, x to the 4, y 2, plus, this column, is 20, x cubed, y cubed. Here we have 15x squared y to the 4 plus 6x1 y 5 plus 1 x to the 0 equals 1, so 1 y 6. And so that would be the binomial expansion of the binomial x plus y to the power of 6. For example 2, the binomial is x minus 2. This time we're looking at row 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy out the 5th row, which is 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. Then I'm going to take the first term, which is x. So it's going to be x to the 5, x to the 4, x to the 3, x to the 2, x to the 1, x to the 0. Now the second term is minus 2. So it includes that minus. So it's going to be minus 2 to the 5, which is minus 32. Minus 2 to the 4, which is 16. minus 2 to the 3, which is minus 8, minus 2 squared, 4, minus 2 to the 1 is minus 2, and minus 2 to the 0 is 1. And let's just check and make sure that pattern makes sense. So 1 minus 2, 4 minus 8, 16 minus 32. Looks good. Same as what we did last time, we're going to multiply down. So x minus 2 to the 5 is equal to, it's going to be 1 times x5 times 1. So that just gives me 1x5 plus. I have 5 times minus 2 is minus 10, minus 10x4. So it's not going to be plus, it's going to be minus 10x4. I'm going to keep going and highlighting these colors. So 10 times 4 is 40. So I'm going to have plus 40x3. This one is going to be minus 8 times 10, minus 80x squared. Minus 80x squared. 16 times 5 is another 80 times x, so plus 80x. And then last but not least, we get minus 32. X to the 0 is just 1, so that's just going to be a minus 32 at the end. So that's our answer. The binomial expansion of the binomial x minus 2 to the power of 5 is that big long thing. And here's our last example for this lesson. Expand and simplify 5x plus 2y all to the power of 3. This means we're going to use the third row, row 3. And if I copy out the coefficients from row 3, I get 1, 3, 3, 1. Now my first term is 5x. So it's going to be 5x to the 3, which is 125x cubed, 5x to the 2, which is 25x squared, 5x to the 1, which is just 5x, and 5x to the 0, which is just 1. Then I'm going to take my second term, and I'm going to go backwards. 2y cubed is 8y cubed. 2y whole thing in brackets squared is 4y squared. 2y to the 1 is just 2y, and 2y to the 0 is just 1. So I'm going to be multiplying down each column, and I'll get that 5x plus 2y cubed equals 125x cubed times 1. So my coefficients are going to be 125, and then I'm going to have x cubed. For this one, I'm going to do the coefficients first. So I got 3 and the 25 and the 2. That's going to be 150. And then I got to go back and grab my x squared and my y. So x squared y. 3 and the 5 is 15 times 4 is 60. And then go back up and grab the x and the y squared. So 60x y squared. And then last, I have 1 times 1 is just 1 times 8y cubed is just going to give me 8y cubed. So the binomial expansion of the binomial 5x plus 2y all to the power of 3 is that big long thing. Thanks for watching.